Good morning. Good morning, and thank you. Thank you, Bill. Welcome to Unity of Orange County. We're so glad that you're with us today. We always like to begin our service with our mission and vision statement. And so our mission statement is, thank you. Our vision statement is centered in divine love. We joyfully co create a world that works for all. And our mission is to awaken, inspire, and transform lives. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank the people that are making this possible. Bill on piano, and Tom doing our sound, and Waverly on the camera, and John and Matthew on the video. And our platform prayer person for today is Reverend Allison. So we're so glad that you have joined us today. Today at noon is our summer book club. We're doing Joshua, a modern day parable. And the book is about Jesus comes to back in today's world. And he's not very happy with what he sees in the churches. And it's a really interesting book. So we're going to talk about that book. And the Zoom meeting is 835 0439 8893. And Wednesday at 6:30 is the class Divine Audacity, and that is also on Zoom. And I'd like to remind you that if you buy things on Amazon, if you go to smileamazon.com and choose Unity of Orange County, we get a percentage. And if you enjoy the videos, please go and like the videos and also subscribe to our channel. And if you like our videos and would like to donate to the church, you can do it by texting 77977 and in the message put Unity of OC Give, or you can go on our website. And so now I would like to introduce Reverend Allison.
Morning. The daily word for today is pray for others. Sunday, July 26, 2020. I affirm the truth for everyone I hold in prayer. I am honored by the trust people place in me when they ask for prayer support. As I pray for others, I see each one of whom I pray as divine and know the truth that each one is a living expression of God. My purpose in prayer is not to focus on the particulars of a situation, but to hold a higher view. As I center in prayer, I hold the vision that all challenging circumstances are moving toward a satisfying resolution in one way or another. I release all thoughts about the situation that prompted the prayer need, and I focus on the activity of God. As I pray, I see the life, the love, the wisdom, and the power of God at work, healing, strengthening, and establishing peace in all those for whom I pray. And the scripture today is from Philippians 1, verses 3 and 4. I thank my God every time I remember you, constantly praying with joy in every one of my prayers for all of you. Now let's just take a moment and get ready for our meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable sitting space and just relax. Begin to take in those healing deep breaths. And just focus for a moment on your breath. Now I want you to start to envision things that you need to let go. Things that you have been carrying around for a while that no longer are serving you. Ideas, thoughts, hurts. Just vision those for a moment. Now imagine yourself holding a balloon. It's a bright colored string tied to the balloon. It's floating above you. And now with each breath in, think peace. And with each breath out, allow one of those things to be released and fill the balloon with air. Now the balloon is expanding with all of those things that are no longer serving you, that you no longer need. And breathe in that peace of letting go. And breathe out release. Just continue to do this now in the silence for a moment. And now as you take that next breath in, let it be a deep cleansing breath. And when you release that breath, simply let go of the string that is holding that balloon. And allow all of those things to simply float away from your life. And as you watch the balloon floating away, you feel cleansed, you feel free, you feel refreshed. And you can go about your day in peace. Namaste.
Thank you, Bill. That was beautiful. And thank you, Allison, for that meditation. And today we're going to continue. We're talking about the 12 powers. And today is my favorite power. So, the 12 powers are spiritual faculties which we all have within us. And we talked about faith and love and wisdom and imagination and will and zeal and strength. And today we're talking about release or renunciation, or as the 12 steppers like to say, letting go. So, when we talk about this principle, we're talking about releasing, removing, denouncing, letting go, and the disciple is Thaddeus because he represents the expulsion of negative thinking. So we're going to talk about 3 levels of letting go, or release, or whatever you want to call it. We have the mental level, we have the physical level, and then we have the spiritual level. So mentally, there's a great story. In Unity, we believe in affirmations, but we also believe in denials. And a lot of people don't like denials because they feel it's a negative thought. But if we think about a glass of water, if the glass of water is full and we try to pour more water into it, it's just going to spill over. And if we're trying to put new thinking into our brains, we have to release the old negative thinking, or there's no room for the new thinking. So there's a story in the Bible of Lot and his wife. They lived in Sodom and Gomorrah, which were getting ready to be destroyed because they were cities filled with sin and all kinds of stuff. In today's world, they wouldn't look that bad. But back then, they were really bad. And so the angel comes to Lot and says, you need to leave because we're going to destroy these cities. So Lot's wife, she doesn't want to leave because she thinks, well, this is my home and my friends are here. And Lot convinces her to go. So as they're leaving, they've been told that they can't look back on the cities. But Lot's wife is just filled with self-will. And so she turns around to look, and she's turned into salt, a pillar of salt. Now, metaphysically, salt was used back then to preserve things. So what this represents is this need to preserve this old thinking, hold on to this old thinking, even though we know we need to look forward to new thinking. And so we have to be willing to let it go. And that's not easy. We're so used to it could be negative thinking about who we are. It could be negative thinking about the way the world is. I mean, certainly today with everything that's going on, it's really easy to get into thinking this is never going to end, my life is terrible or whatever. And we have to change that. We have to deny those thoughts so that we can affirm new thoughts of hope and belief that God is in the midst of this. We were just talking earlier. If you don't believe that God is still here in the midst of this, think about what it would be like today if we had to go through what we're going through today without computers, without cell phones, without Zoom, without YouTube, without all of that. We would have no way to communicate with others. So even though some of us may be feeling isolated, we're as close to someone else as a phone or a computer. So we have to let go of our negative thinking. And then we have the physical letting go. So we hold on to things because we're afraid to let them go. And the fear is usually based on the fact that we are afraid we're not going to get what we want. And there's a story of the man, and he goes to see the Grand Canyon, and he's looking over in the Grand Canyon, and he leans a little bit too far, and so he falls over. And he grabs onto a branch, and he screams out, he says, God help me. And he hears a big booming voice, and the voice says, let go. And he says, is there anybody else up there? So this is us. We're afraid to let go because we don't know who's up there. We don't know who's got us. We don't know what's going on. And we're afraid that what we get may not be as good as what we had. And so we hold on. We hold on to bad relationships. We hold on to bad jobs. We hold on to places that we live that we don't want to live. We hold on to all of that because we're afraid that what is coming is not going to be as good. So I was living in Atlanta, outside of Atlanta, and I had a church there. And I loved where we lived. We had a half an acre. It was on a lake. We had a little dock, and it was really the house of my dreams. I had never lived in a place like this, and it was just perfect. But I had an opportunity to get to take this church in Savannah. And I had always wanted to live in Savannah. To me, Savannah was just like a dream come true. And so it meant having to leave. So I'm all excited because I'm getting to go to Savannah, but we pack up the house and we put everything on a truck, and I had to leave two of my cats behind with friends because I had four cats and a dog and I could only take three animals. And so the house is empty. I've given the two cats to somebody, and I'm in our bedroom, and we had these big sliding glass doors that looked out onto all these trees and the lake, and I just started to cry. I just started bawling about sadness and the grief of leaving behind this place that I had loved. My best friend was there. It was really, and yet I wanted to go to Savannah. So, one way that we can deal with grief about losing, whether it be a person, a place, or anything, is to get into gratitude. Because when we become grateful for the things that we had in the past and grateful for what is coming in the future, it is easier for us to let go. And so I began to think about all the things that I was grateful for with Savannah. You know, it was, if you haven't been to Savannah, it's on the water, it's got big trees, it's historic, a beautiful historic area. It's a great walking city. It's always rated one of the best walking cities in the country, and I love to walk. It's a great city to bicycle in. There's very little traffic. There's a lot to do. So I just kept making lists. It was a bigger church of all the things that I was grateful for and all the things that I was grateful for that I had in Atlanta. And that gratitude, which Allison talked about so perfectly last week, allowed me to do that move, even though there was sadness and grief. So that's that physical letting go. And it could be anything. We were just talking earlier about a truck I had. I love this truck. I had a Toyota truck. I had it for 350,000 miles, and it was time to let it go. And I cried when I had to let this truck go. I mean, I had driven this truck a lot of miles, and yet it was really hard to let it go. Why do we have trouble letting go of the things that are physical? Again, it's because we think what we're going to get is not going to be as good as what we have. It's that fear. And then we have spiritual letting go. So an interesting thing happened this past week. I was watching some minister on YouTube, and because they were talking about letting go, and I wanted to hear what you had to say. And I was paying like half attention. I was kind of listening, but I wasn't. And all of a sudden, I heard her say, "There's a minister, Arlene Meyer," and I like perked up because I heard my name. And I thought, I don't even know this person. And she's mentioning my name. And it's not even a church I've ever been to. And she says, and she has this story, and she proceeds to tell this story that I tell. And I'm thinking, how did she know about this? I mean, it was just very weird. But it is the perfect story to illustrate this whole idea of spiritual letting go. So many years ago, my sons are now in their 50s, and they were like maybe 8 and 10. We lived in Miami, and I wanted to take them on a vacation, and I didn't have any money. So I decided I could afford Disney World for one day. So back then, Disney World had the tickets. They had the A ride, B ride, C ride, D ride. So you always wind up using up all the D rides, and you're left with these A rides no one wants to go on. And so we had really done everything that we could possibly do in the day. And we were staying at this motel, and I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do with these boys tomorrow? Because they were starting to get antsy. What are we going to do? And so there was a circus world nearby. And the circus world was run by Ringling Brothers. I decided it was like free to get in. I thought, okay, we're going to go to the circus world. So we go to the circus world, and they had museum, and they had all this stuff. And then they had a big top, and they had a participating circus. And what the participating circus was is they would get volunteers from the audience to do the different acts with the professionals. So they had a tightrope walker, they had the lion trainer, they had a bunch of people as clowns, they had the horseback ride, they had all of that. And then the final act in most circuses is the trapeze. And so they had a trapeze act, and all trapeze acts have three people. They have two guys and a woman, and they have an older guy, a younger guy, and the woman. So I always like to refer to these people as Bert, Tony, and Gina. If you ever saw the movie The Big Top, the actors were Burt Lancaster, Tony Curtis, and Gina Lollobrigida. So anyway, the ringmaster says, is there anybody here that would like to volunteer for the trapeze? I'm thinking people have to be crazy to do this, right? But my sons, who love to make a fool of their mother, it was their favorite activity, start pointing at me and say, pick her, pick her, pick her. And everybody is raising their hand, but my kids are going, pick her, pick her. And I'm kind of sliding under in the chair, lower and lower, hoping that no one sees me. And the ringmaster thought these little boys were so cute, he picked me. Now, I'm 5 feet tall. I've never looked at anything from a tall height. Anyway, so I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this without upsetting my kids? I can't, if I don't do this, they will never, ever let me live this down. So the next thing I know, I'm walking down into the ring, and the ringmaster says to me, go over to the ladder. Bert's there, and Bert will tell you what to do. I'm walking to the ladder thinking, how am I going to get out of this? I get to the ladder and Bert says to me, take off your shoes, climb up the ladder. Gina's up there. Gina's going to tell you what to do. I look at this ladder. It's like a rope ladder, folks. I mean, it's not even a real metal ladder. It's this rope ladder. So I take off my shoes. I start climbing up this ladder, swearing under my breath at my children. Every step, I'm wondering what I'm going to do to punish them for this. And I get up to the top, and there's Gina, and she says to me, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to hand you the trapeze. You're going to swing out over the big top. Tony's going to swing out. And when Tony comes close to you, he's going to scream, tell you to let go. You're going to let go of the trapeze, and he's going to grab your hands. I'm thinking, I'm not getting off this platform. There's no point in Tony swinging out, because there's no way I'm leaving this platform. The next thing I know, she's got my hands on this trapeze, and I am off the platform. And I am swinging, and Tony is swinging, and I am petrified. So I swing out, Tony swings out, and Tony screams at me, let go. And I scream some profound words, no. So Tony goes back, I go back, the trapeze come back together again. Tony screams, let go. Now my words are getting more profound as I'm screaming, never in your life. And this goes on. Tony's swinging, I'm swinging, he's screaming, I'm screaming. The whole audience is laughing. My children are laughing so loud, I can hear them. And they're on the ground, they're laughing so loud. Their stomachs hurt. They told me this later. So everybody, and I'm swinging like a fool, and I'm thinking I wore contact lenses at the time. I thought, my contact lenses are going to fall out. They're going to wind up on someone's forehead. I don't know how I'm going to get off this trapeze. And what happened was, eventually, Tony gave up. He thought, this lady is crazy. So he goes on his platform, and now this crazy lady is up there all by herself on this trapeze, swinging back and forth, trying to figure out, how the hell do I get off this trapeze? And then all of a sudden, it lost its momentum, and the trapeze stopped, because that's what happened. If you're not doing something, it stops. Now I'm frozen on top of the net, hanging on for dear life. Everybody, I'm telling you, the noise was so loud of people laughing. And all I could think about, I am so embarrassed. If I fall in this net, I'm going to bounce out of the net on my head and die or be brain damaged. Then how am I going to kill my children? So I'm trying to figure out what to do. And finally, what happens is my arms hurt so much. My hands hurt so much. I thought my arms were going to come out of my shoulder. And I'm hanging up there for dear life. And finally, the pain of hanging on got so bad that I had no choice but to let go. But what happened was something really interesting. When I fell into the net, I didn't bounce out of the net. What happened was the net came up and engulfed me. And I was able to get out. Now, at the time, I didn't believe in God or anything. And so I get out of the net, and my kids, I can't control them. To this day, whenever they think about this, they get hysterical. When they tell my grandchildren, they all laugh about it. So I come out. But afterward, I realized when I thought about this, that this is what happens to us in life. When we let go spiritually, when we let go of hanging on to what we think we need for our protection and care, and we allow God to take over our life, we fall into a net. And that net is God's grace. You see, when we let go, God's grace comes up and enfolds us. God's grace is our safety net. We think that we know what is best for us, but there is always something that we don't know, that the universe knows, that makes it possible for us to realize that we can let go. We can release because we're not in control. Whatever you believe about your higher power or God, whether you believe in it or not, there is this power in the universe that has this way, just like today, of having this happen in a time when we have all this technology. There's this force, this greater force that helps us through those times of letting go. So I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and think about maybe something in your life that you're having trouble letting go of. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's where you live and you know it's time to move on, but you're afraid to do it. Maybe it's old thinking about yourself. Well, I can't do this because I don't have enough education. Or I can't do this because I don't have enough money. Whatever that negative thought is about ourselves that keeps us from doing what we are being called to do. Or maybe it's this idea that this is all we're ever going to have and there's not going to be anything better. Whatever that is that you are holding on to, that is keeping you from the sunlight of the Spirit, I invite you to try letting go of it. Think about it. If some crazy lady hanging on a trapeze can let go and fall into a net and not even believe in anything and have that net come up and engulf her, that net of God's grace will engulf you. So I invite you to let go and let God and see where it takes you. God bless. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. And here at Uni of Orange County, we always like to affirm our 5 basic principles. And so the first one is that God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. And two, I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. And three, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. And four, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. And five, I do and give my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. And one way that you can make a difference to this community is through the law of giving and receiving. And so we tried to make it easy for you. So there's many ways that you can give. You can text your gift to 77977 and put Unity of OC Give in the message. You can download our app in the App Store and give through that. You can go on our website, unityoforangecounty.org, and you can give there. Or you can mail your checks in here, and our address is on our website. But we hope that you continue to give and support this ministry. And just a reminder that next week is our last week on the 12 powers, and we're talking about life. Because when you have all the 12 powers, you have life, and life lived to its fullest. So please join us next week. Remember the book club this afternoon at noon, and we always like to close with our prayer for protection. So if you would like, please join us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Have a blessed week. God bless.